Merkel Media.
How's the show coming?
It's coming really good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
That means it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ready to have some fun?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We're going to start recording, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
This was all circulating around the base that a giant had been killed, but no one was supposed to talk about it.
I saw 3 long, bony fingers reach up underneath the door, curl up to grab it, and then disappear.
When he came over to me, dude, he slithered over to me.
And this giant comes out of the cave, and they're all frozen. And he starts running and firing at this giant. Well, the giant moves. He's got a spear in one hand, and he's running really fast. And spears Dan and holds him up like this. Somebody yells, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. They basically decapitate him.
Got closer. When he got about 15 yards away from me, I raised that 12 gauge and I blowed his head off.
I feel something pulling at my leg, and I look over, and there are 2 small gray entities pulling at me. And they're literally, I'm getting pulled off the bed.
I reached my hand into this bush, and I touched air. Couldn't breathe, and I couldn't move, because I know I'm seeing a monster.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, everybody. You're listening to The Confessionals. I'm your host, Tony Merkel. Thanks for being here. If you have a crazy, wild experience you want to share with me on the show, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email address is theconfessionals@theconfessionalspodcast.com. That's theconfessionals@theconfessionalspodcast.com. Or go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com. Hit the contact section. You can reach me that way as well. Either way works for me. Just get a hold of me. If you want more shows on a weekly basis, go to theconfessionalspodcast.com, hit the join button, and become a member, because members get access to membership shows every Thursday. And on Tuesdays, you get the Tuesday shows ad-free, plus any overtime content available. So if that interests you, go to theconfessionalspodcast.com, hit the join button, become a member, and just let anybody know who maybe doesn't know, overtime means sometimes I have a Tuesday show that's an extended conversation, and the second half of that conversation is an overtime for members only on the website or the Castos app. So thank you very much for your consideration. Also, go to preparewiththeconfessionals.com. That's preparewiththeconfessionals.com. There you can get yourself emergency supply food that will last up to 25 years on the shelf. Friends, the world's going crazy. There's a lot of food shortages happening right now, and they said it wasn't going to happen till the fall, so I can only imagine what the fall it has in store for us. But in the meantime, friends, make sure that you and your family are good to go. So start preparing now, whether it's through preparewiththeconfessionals.com or going to your store, getting extra whenever you go to the store. Just do it, because you're going to thank yourself later when whatever you could have got today is $10 more tomorrow. So there's that. Everybody, listen, I have some great news for you, because we actually have an in-studio guest. Before we get to the in-studio guest, though, I just want to remind everybody we do have the Spirits Are In tour. That is a tour that I am going to be doing with listeners on April 8th through April 9th. And if the listeners want to be part of that tour, they can be. All they have to do is go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com, and on the page right there, you'll see at the very top, the Spirits Are In Tour tab. When you click that, it will give you all the information of what we're doing on this tour and who to contact on the very bottom, which is Educated Wanderer, my brother-in-law Creed. And you can email him at travelgrouptours@aol.com, or go to their website, educatedwanderer.com, or you can call them 973-513-9001 if you want to get in touch with them about coming on tour with me to the Shanley Hotel. That's right, we are going to the Shanley Hotel. I am really excited about this, and we're going to visit Sleepy Hollow, which is also another great bucket list item for so many people and stuff. So this is going to be a really fun tour. We're going to spend our night in the Shanley Hotel, which is a very haunted hotel. They actually make you sign a waiver before you stay there, because I guess it's so paranormal. So if you're interested in coming with me to the Shanley Hotel on a very exclusive tour, you're going to want to get a hold of Creed or Jen at educatedwanderer.com. Their email again is travelgrouptours numbers@aol.com, or you can call them 973-513-9001. All right, let's get to the special guest here. Who do we have today? What's your name?
Ben.
You got to talk into the microphone.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
Ben.
And who are you? You're my son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Good. So listen, when we actually tried this with you before, when you were younger, you didn't like it. You didn't like talking into the microphone. You got to hold up the microphone, bud.
Why?
Because I guess it was scary. Because when you first talked into the microphone, you actually heard your voice come through and it scared you. But now you're older and bigger and you can handle it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. We just moved to where? Hold up your mouth. Where'd we move?
Tennessee.
Yeah, we just moved to Tennessee. Do you like the new house?
Yeah.
What do you like most about the new house?
I just like my bed.
You like your new bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool bed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do you like about the house?
I just like back to daddy.
Back to daddy? Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I was talking about the Shanley Hotel tour we're going on, the Spirits Are In tour, and that's me and Uncle Creed. We're going to a hotel together. Did you know that?
No.
You got to hold it up to the microphone.
No.
You didn't know that? Well, now you do. All right, buddy. Well, listen, we're going to have a great time with this next guest we have coming on because we have Terrence coming on, and he actually called in a Bigfoot once.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he was out in the woods and he was singing and he was recording it on video for his for his social media on TikTok, and then a Bigfoot came in the background when it heard him singing. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and listen to Terrence's story about calling in a Bigfoot right now, okay?
Okay.
All right, today we got Terrence and Dents, aka Throat Sing King, on his TikTok. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, bro?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. So you're up in Canada, and you listen, I've gotten to the point now with my show, and it's been a long time coming, but I've noticed that it's getting easier now, where when somebody in the paranormal field has a video that goes viral, I've noticed that I have an easier time getting people on my show than I used to. In the early days, when the show was tiny, everyone's like, no, I'm waiting for Steve Harvey to contact me. You know, now it's like, you know, hey, you want to come on the show? And you're like, heck yeah, let's do it. I'm like, all right, let's go. So listen, you had a video that went viral, and it was on TikTok, and I can't tell you, it had to be countless people sent it to me saying, check this out. And I remember when it first started popping off, people would send it to me, and I hit play on the first time, and I saw you talking, and you were doing your throat singing, and I think I might have skimmed through it or something. I just remember I was like, what is this? It's boring. Click. I just got rid of it. I'm like, I don't got time to waste, because I'm not going to sit here and watch 5 minutes of a video or something and, you know, have to squint the whole time, you know? Like, I had no idea what I was looking for. And then that was the first person to send it to me, right? And then I had like, I don't know, 10, 15 other people send me the video. I was like, scratching my head and thinking to myself, okay, maybe there's something in this video I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I get that.
So, you are a throat singer. You're up in Canada, and you were doing your thing out in nature, and you had some visitors, right?
Oh yeah. So basically, what happened was I was actually on a live video at the time. It was a live video on TikTok. You're actually allowed to download your live video, like it's all recorded. So when you go live, the first 100 minutes of your live video are going to be downloadable after, like, you know, a few hours after you've actually done it. So while I was live, I noticed, like, I have really terrible eyes. Like, I think it's like 75-20 vision, where, you know, 20 feet away, things look like they're 75 feet away. or something like that. I'm not really, I'm not an expert on optometry or whatever you call it. But so I saw a deer. You know, it's kind of hard to miss those when they're really close. So a tripod, so it was really hard for me to like position the camera so that the deer is facing the camera is facing the deer, because it was facing, you know, the deer was facing me opposite to the camera, so it wasn't in the camera's view at first. So then I take the camera, I try to position it as good as possible to show the deer. So I zoom in on the deer, and that was it. You know, that's all I was really focused on. I just wanted to show my attracting a deer. You know, because it literally came out of nowhere. There was no deer anywhere in sight in the beginning of my live video, and then it just started walking up to me like it was a shock. To like it startled me, and then I zoom in, and then, you know, I get home like a few hours later, I crop out the video where you know, from the live, you know, because it's like a 100-minute live. I'm not going to be able to post all that, so I just crop out the portion where the deer is, because that's what I wanted, you know. And it was live, so the quality was terrible. We were in, you know, the forest, so the quality is definitely going to be like, you know, really pixelated because of the connection. So all I wanted to do was show the deer, you know, being attracted to my throat singing, and that's it. And I was like, I'm just going to post this on my profile. I just wanted to be known that I can attract deer with my throat singing, and that's it. And then out of nowhere, like in a few hours after I posted it, I wasn't really paying much attention to it. I wasn't expecting to get any kind of attention from it, like maybe 5,000 views max, you know, for tracking a deer. And out of nowhere, I see like, whoa, there's so many comments saying, what is that in the background? And everyone's like, oh yeah, focus on the deer, not the scary stuff in the background. And I was like, what scary stuff in the background are you talking about? And then I watched I didn't even watch the video myself until after people started commenting it. Like, I didn't notice that. I guess knew that there was a deer in that portion of the video, and that's when I posted it. I wasn't really paying attention to anything else. So it was a surprise to me too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd imagine so. People, they see the video, they see the figures in the background, and they see the deer. And I was really surprised by the amount of people saying that you staged it and you had somebody walking in the background. And I'm just thinking to myself, how hard would that be to go on a TikTok live for over an hour, record over an hour with your buddy hanging out in the background, somehow call in a deer to set up the scene?
Yeah. So how, like, this is what my question is. How would I attract a deer and then have my friends positioned exactly where the deer is, far away, to the point where they you know, their image could be distorted to be interpreted as something else? Like, how would I know what exact distance? Like, that was like one of my first times going live in nature.
So that was one of the first times you went live out in the forest?
Yeah. I usually go live in my garage here. Yeah, that was like one of my first times. I think I did it one time before, but it was a really brief hello to my followers.
So, so the videos that, because you and I were talking before we started recording here, and you said that you always do this stuff out in the nature. So is it like pre-recorded stuff then you usually do out in nature, and then you post it to TikTok later?
Yeah. Yeah. So those videos I don't know, that thing was a 1 in a million chance. Like, I can never recreate that. Like, it was live. I was 40 minutes in on my video when that happened. So it was like really unexpected. But yeah.
I'll tell you, I mean, like, you ever hear the phrase beginner's luck? I mean, the first time you're out there, you know? So, wow. That's crazy. So, all right, the creature or whatever's walking in the background, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, I have my thoughts. I mean, as somebody who comes from the paranormal community, I give a lot of weight to creatures in the forest that are, let's just say, quote unquote, undocumented, you know, Bigfoot, Dogman. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Dogman, but, you know, Bigfoot, everybody's heard of. And you being a native in Canada, I'm sure you've heard of stories of Sasquatch or whatever the native tongue would call it. What are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I'm actually not native.
Really?
I'm actually,
I didn't know that. I just assumed here I am profiling you just by your looks. And I was like, he must be native. I'm just going to assume he's native.
But honestly, you're not fully wrong. I'm from the Philippines, and my grandfather comes from the northern region where the natives Igorot live. So
Okay.
I do have native roots. So I guess it makes sense you mistaken me as Native American. I'm Native Filipino, I guess.
Hey man, I'm a little stupid sometimes, so it is what it is. But
No, it's all right.
I'm not even going to apologize for it. I just come to expect these things from me.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of people say I'm Native, and I just don't correct them because I feel like that's what's.
No, you should, man. You should. Like if somebody said I don't know, like I don't know, I would correct people if they said something different. I'd be like, no, I'm Puerto Rican actually. So people don't even think I'm Puerto Rican because I don't speak Spanish. I don't sound Puerto Rican, you know. So, anyways, where were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about Bigfoot. So, what are your thoughts on that?
All right, so I don't know. Have you ever heard of the law of attraction at all?
Yeah.
So law of attraction, basically everything is based in frequency. Like, even scientifically, they know this where, if you zoom in on anything, it's going to show up as atoms, and those atoms become these electrons and protons. And, it's all energy, basically. Everything is energy, and all energy has frequency, right? Even people have a frequency. So you can dictate your frequency by assessing your emotional state. Like, so if I'm in a happy, mood, or like in a really good feeling mood, that means I'm on a high frequency at that moment. Also, and then, the opposite, which, if I'm feeling in, negative emotions, that means I'm on a lower frequency. So two or more things can't share the same space if they're not on the same frequency. So, for instance, if I'm on a low frequency, I'm going to be on a match to other low frequency things. If I'm on a high frequency, I'm going to be a match to high frequency things. You're a Christian, right? So, angels would be on the highest frequency, next to God, or right just below God. Or I refer to God as source. But and then there's demons, in the lower end of the frequencies, right? So basically, before the video, I was in a really good feeling state. I was just chilling. I was just talking to my followers. I was just chatting and answering some questions and overtone singing with them, to them, I mean. And then I showed them that deer, and I was really excited at that moment, right? So I perceive that as a really, like a pretty high frequency. I'm not gonna lie, and a lot of people are saying those things are demons or whatever, and I just don't agree with that at all. Before the live stream, I was actually asking because I believe that angels and other entities, like even Hindu gods and all these other everything that humanity has ever thought of exists to me. Like all consciousness exists. So I was just asking, like whoever out there wants to help me gain more reach, gain as many views as I can, please help me. You know what I mean? Like I was just asking for help to any loving beings. Like I don't like to welcome demonic energy or any low entities. So I guess any loving beings who would like to assist me in reaching as many people as possible, please do. And then that's when I started the live video. And, I feel like whatever those beings were, I'm not dismissing that those could just be random people hiding in the bushes for some reason. But, they could also be those entities that I called upon. I don't even know what they are. Like, I didn't really specify who I wanted there. I asked for any ascended master. That's what we call them in the spiritual communities. Ascended masters are basically any idol or any worship or any kind of entity that people have thought up and worshipped, or what I mean? Like Archangel Michael to me is an ascended master.
Okay. That's interesting. So one, if I'm hearing you correctly, it seems like you believe and feel like you asked for them to show themselves, and they did.
I don't know if that's the case because, whatever happened, it did get me a lot of reach. People have been sharing this everywhere. People have been getting millions of views off of my video too by sharing it on their pages. So whatever happened, it happened. You know what I mean? I asked and I received.
How does that make you feel? People taking your video, sharing it on their channels, getting millions of views, probably making money off of your videos.
I don't know. I guess it's okay, but get as much reach. So as long as people, give me credit for the video, like give me, my name and all this other stuff, then I'm good with that. It's a different story when they try to remove all credit from me.
Yeah. And they're like, hey guys, I was just whistling in the forest and came across Bigfoot. Look at this video. But that's interesting. And so when you and I were talking beforehand, you mentioned about how your spiritual beliefs are probably more along the lines of New Age. I'm not a New Age expert, but would you say you are a New Ager?
I wouldn't label myself that because there's a lot of stuff in the New Age I don't agree with, but there is a lot of stuff in the New Age I do agree with. So I guess I could be considered that by people who aren't really well versed in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go up to people and say I'm a New Ager. I don't like to label myself that.
It's not. I wouldn't either because it sounds corny. Oh, yo, I'm a New Ager. It's like, what? Come up with a better name, man. But
it seems lazy.
Yeah. I mean, you have all these other, philosophical, theological terms, and you're like, I'm New Age. What? Like, it's like saying I'm new school, old school, But anyways, so with that said and stuff, you mentioned about how you were asking for good beings, assistance from good beings, not bad beings.
Like beings of love. Basically, that's what it was. Like basically of loving nature and of service to me and other people. And you know what I mean? Basically, it's kind of a feeling you give off. Your emotions are what dictate what frequency you give off. And it was mostly my feeling state that dictated who I was communicating to. Like if I was angry and I was like, malicious or wanted to attack someone, it would be on a lower frequency and I would attract demons probably or lower dimensional beings. Like for me, demons are real and other lower dimensional beings.
Okay. So because you were talking about the law of attraction. So remind me what you said there, because I've heard people talk about it before, but sometimes my eyes just like gloss over when people start talking about the frequencies, because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So can two beings, what you were talking about before, like two beings can exist on the same frequency? Or is it like so say you're a higher frequency, could a lower being be on your frequency, even though it's a lower frequency being?
So what happens when two opposing frequencies come to the same space? The universal law makes it so that they have to match somewhere in the middle, or the dominant frequency wins and the lower entity or lower frequency has to either match the higher frequency or the higher frequency has to match the lower frequency. It's kind of, they have to match to be able to share the same space. So if they're not matching, then they will eventually, or they have to avoid each other and not be in the same space.
Okay. Okay. So if you are on a high frequency and there's a lower frequency entity present, it has to match your frequency, or you have to match
or leave.
Leave. Or leave, right? So
your audio is kind of cutting off. Sorry.
Don't tell me that. I'm a professional podcaster, man. I'm just kidding. No, for anybody listening, I'm actually working out of my new house. I'm working off Wi-Fi right now, and until I get in the new studio, hopefully we can make things work here. So just do the best you can hearing me. If ask me to repeat myself if you need me to. So basically, so you're a higher frequency, and say there's a demon lower frequency, and it doesn't leave. Can a demon become higher frequency on your level than it exists in the same plane? Can it do that?
Well, honestly, in my, a lot of people, when they think angels and demons, they think black and white. They think that the demon will probably, stay in a lower place and cause harm to others for the rest of his existence. But I really do believe that demons can change perspectives. They can change perspectives to be of not causing harm to others. It's just they're in a place of complete separation. It's kind of hard to explain I would have to talk about the whole concept of oneness. You know what I mean? Like source or God. is everything, in my opinion. Like literally, it exists in everyone and everything that exists. It's like just everything is God, in my opinion. Like, I'm just wording it that way, but I refer to it as source. Demons are in a frequency where they're in complete separation from God. When you're in a place of separation, you do not perceive anything bad when you cause harm to something separate from yourself. But if you actually see oneness and you see yourself in others, then you cannot harm them without harming yourself, right? That's what, angels, they see themselves as you. Like they don't see any separation between you and them. That's why they're extremely loving, because they take you as a part of themselves. So, but demons are in a complete separation. Like they're kind of like almost on the same level as, say, a serial killer, like in sense of like seeing others as separate from themselves. And like that's why they cause harm to other people. They don't see that what they're doing is causing harm to themselves. They see themselves as separate. And that's just what. But if you actually were to sit down with a demon and change his perspective to, like give it love and nourishing, and not this push away and hatred that most people give demons, then they will actually, there's a whole process to it, but they can actually change their perspectives and stop being demonic. They will stop causing harm to others. That's just what I've experienced. But
so
go ahead.
Have you sat down with a demon and talked with them like that?
To be honest, I'm not equipped enough to do that. Like I would have to be really well versed in psychology and how their way of thinking is. Some people who do that. But for me personally, I've only ever like pushed them away. Like what normal people would do is basically keep them away from my space, because I don't know how to deal with them. I know some people do. It's just I just have too much fear within me, and I don't trust myself to be able to do that properly. So what I've been doing, I've done exorcisms where I've pushed demons out of a space. Like throat singing is actually on a high frequency. Actually scare demons away if you set the intention for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, what you said earlier, that's where the difference is, I guess. Maybe not, maybe just vantage points. But in Christian theology, there's the angels that did rebel against God because they did not like the position of humans with angels. And so there would be that idea that not all angels were cool with humans, but when it comes to this whole thing, is it possible? Because like I view myself as a high-low frequency kind of guy. Like it depends on what day it is, Like I could be like right now I'm jolly, I'm in good mood, But don't catch me yesterday. I was not happy yesterday, and I was letting everybody know. And so, it's just one of those things. Is that something that do you feel like, as somebody who's tuned into this kind of thinking and thought process and maybe even spiritual walking, do you have a firm control over your frequency? Is that something that you can control so that you're walking in a high frequency all the time?
Honestly, I don't like the idea of controlling your frequency. I feel, your emotional states are what they are because I believe emotions to be like messengers. Basically, they give you information about something. You're feeling this way because something happened that wasn't okay with you, or you know what I mean? Like, so it's like it's a really long explanation, but basically, everyone has multiple personalities. It's kind of a bold statement, but everyone has different personalities within themselves, and then they're created through the process of fragmentation, which happens in childhood. Basically, what's it called? I don't know if I should get into that. I feel like it's going to take way too long. See here.
What is it? What are you talking about?
Like I was going to talk about how frequency works in regards to our different sides to ourselves. Everyone has different sides to everyone, and I was going to explain how we develop these different sides of ourselves in childhood. I don't know. Are you still recording?
No, yeah, I'm still recording, and I mean I can edit it out and stuff, but I think that would be interesting to hear. To be honest with you.
All right. So
We're here for a conversation, brother. It goes wherever. I mean, we started off talking about your video and Bigfoot. I'm sure we'll get back to his stuff, but I find this interesting. I'm just seeing where it goes.
all right. So all right, let's try this. All right. So in childhood, basically what happens is we have, we're born as whole, right? Like a whole being, right? We're a whole person when we're born. And then growing up, we're told that parts of ourselves, parts of our aspects of our personality is unacceptable. Like, you shouldn't be this way. Your parents would say, you shouldn't be this way. And you should be something else. You know what I mean? Like, they direct what they want you to be, and basically they say that food and water and shelter are the most crucial parts of survival, right? Those things are like in the hierarchy of, forget what it's called, but there's like a hierarchy of needs or something like that. But they say food, water, and shelter is the most important thing for human survival, but it's actually not. The most important thing for a human survival is connection. You see, connection is, connection to our parents, connection to our community and our tribe. It was deemed as the most important thing, because if you didn't have connection to your tribe or your parents, then they would stop providing your needs. They would stop giving you food, water, and shelter. You really depended on them, right? So your parents' approval and connection was the most important thing. And once they say things like, this is unacceptable behavior, this is, I don't like this about you, you actually have to split from that part of yourself. You see, you split in personality through the process of socialization, being told what is acceptable and not acceptable about you. So you split off from this part of you that was, this whole part of you. And then this new personality comes up that matches what the parents are wanting from the child. But the thing is, it doesn't go away. The thing that they pushed away about themselves, it doesn't go away. It stays in the subconscious. It's still there. So that's how we develop multiple personalities, is through all the trauma and experiences of being rejected in childhood of certain parts of our personality. So there's these aspects of ourselves that experience these things, and they're suppressed in the subconscious. So they're constantly influencing your energy, what frequency you're on. So say if you were in a bad mood yesterday and now you're in a good mood, it's because you get switched from personality to person. Like, you were a different person yesterday, a different aspect of your consciousness. And now today you are a different aspect of your consciousness that's more favorable and is more in joy. But the thing is, the thing that from yesterday doesn't go away. You're actually still, your frequency is dictated by the amalgamation of all the frequencies of every part of your consciousness. Not sure if you got any of that.
I got I'd say about 7.3% of it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's talk about our sponsor for today, which is HelloFresh. Hello, good food. I love HelloFresh, and you should too. With HelloFresh, you get fresh farm, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make your home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Let's stress the affordable part, because HelloFresh is 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant and is even cheaper than grocery shopping. That's money back in your pocket. You might think that's impossible, but when you have a professional chef pre-portioning all the ingredients for you, you don't waste any food. All the food that you get in your order is to be used, no extras. And so many people go to a grocery store and they're like, I think I need 10 onions, when you only needed a half an onion. And then you wind up throwing the onion away because you don't use onion all the time. You wind up spending $10 on onions. I don't know how much onions are, but let's just say $10. You wind up wasting $10. And with this HelloFresh plan, you will not waste any money on any food. It's a great deal for everybody. And they actually have seasonal menus as well. So it's not the same thing all the time. You will literally have plenty of fresh options all the time. They have up to 50 different weekly options, and you can skip weeks when you don't need to, change your delivery date, or update your preferences, all from the HelloFresh app. Listen, guys, I got HelloFresh down here at Tennessee. They told me that they wanted to send me some stuff, and I told them to hold on and wait until I got to Tennessee so that the new people that moved into the old house didn't get my HelloFresh. Well, I got the stuff down here. Lindsay was a masterful chef in the kitchen. She was killing it, and I was taking pictures and posting it on my stories on Instagram, and my one friend was saying, dude, like, that Tennessee living is killing it. I'm like, bro, that's HelloFresh living, man. Like, it is killing it anywhere you get it. So if you guys want, go to HelloFresh.com/confessional16 and use code confessional16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/confessional16 and use code confessional16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. You don't get much better deals than that. Go now. I totally understand what you're saying. It seems a little bit of how, because I'm a big Jordan Peterson fan. You should be too, since he's Canadian. Just saying. But so Jordan talks about a child's social development. The child's first 4 years of their life is the most crucial time of their life for social development. And I actually, I mean, of course I agree with him. I mean, I'm not in any shoes to argue with somebody of his intelligence, but I have seen it firsthand. My son is 4 years old. He had just turned 2. He turned 2 in December 2019. And then a few months later, the world went crazy and everything gets locked down. He can't do things that a normal 2-year-old could do. And even to the point that when we left the Philadelphia area just a few weeks ago, we went into the Chick-fil-A and they have a play area and it was still closed. They turned it into a storage room because they didn't have any plans of opening it up again for kids to play in. And so that the social stunting of my son took place for 2 years. And so I can see that in him now, being in Tennessee, where we're living in an area where we can do whatever we want, whenever we want. We don't have to check the website to see if they're accepting people with masks or no masks. And my neighbor has a 3-year-old turning 4 in July. And my son's playing with the neighbor kid now, and he has a little friend. But there's little things that I'm seeing where, like just yesterday, we were out. Ben was playing with the kid in the yard, and I was in the back of the yard with the dad, and he was showing me some things around. Anyways, it got late, and I told my son that we had to go, and I called across the yard for him, and he just started crying hysterically. He does this every time he's having fun with other kids or in a new environment, and it's time to stop that fun and move on. He can't cope with it. And the child that he was saying goodbye to, who's actually probably about 5-6 months younger than my son, said to him, "You don't need to cry. I'll see you again," And it's just like my son didn't quite grasp that because of the social stunting that happened the last 2 years, where he couldn't meet strangers in a play area, and even down to the normal things like churches and stuff were so bizarre and hit and miss with socialization. It was really hard, right? And so I could see how things like in an early childhood life can the environment of the child can form the child's character and how they perceive the world and how they react with the world. And it's not the same thing, I know, but it's how I'm computing it.
Yeah, so I understand that. Like, I think there's a lot of children born right now are actually extremely sensitive, and so like, for instance, to avoid any fragmentation with that child, like, I'm not trying to teach how to parent. I'm just saying from my perspective.
Yeah, it's fine.
Basically, what I would do to make sure that the child doesn't, to minimize as much damage as possible, would be to basically validate the child's emotion. Be like, it's completely right that you're feeling this way. It's a sad time to separate from your friends, to make them feel, like they're right to feel that they feel.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time, parents will be like, "You shouldn't feel this way. This is wrong to feel this way." And that's actually creates fragmentation, because what happens is the child is like, "Yeah, this part of me that's sensitive and is like this, I hate him. I'm going to push him away." And then what happens is, then the child disowns that part of himself, and he becomes this new not sensitive person, even though deep down he is sensitive. And the subconscious mind actually finds ways to go back into wholeness. So, for instance, how the subconscious goes back into wholeness is by reflecting on the outside, like attracting, from the law of attraction. It attracts people who remind you of the parts that you've suppressed. So the kid who suppresses their sensitive side will now see outwardly sensitive people as people that trigger them. Like, "You're so sensitive. God," like they get triggered by sensitive people because they disown their sensitive part, because, they needed the parents' approval and acceptance. And they saw that as a means of survival, right? Because, like I said, connection is the most important thing. So they had to reject that part of them because they subconsciously perceived that as staying alive. So they have to basically, they see these people that they, like people that are sensitive are triggering them now. It's because their subconscious sees them as a threat too. You know what I mean? Like they see it as a threat to their own survival, but at the same time, it's bringing up their own sensitive parts. Kind of like, I don't know, like this might trigger a lot of your followers. But for instance, people who are homophobic, not based in religion. I mean, like not because of what the Bible says, but just because they hate what, they just hate gay people. Most of the time, themselves gay, and they've suppressed it.
Yeah, I knew you were going there, bro. No, but I totally understand what you're saying. I do, because like my son is a very emotional kid, and I can't tell you how many times I tell my wife that's exactly how I was as a child. And what you're describing is exactly what happened to me as a child. I found myself in an environment where emotionally sensitive was not a good thing. It was seen as a weakness in the environment that I grew up in. And I learned very quickly that I needed to subdue that and become this hardened individual from a very young age. I'm talking about 5 years old. I moved to a new neighborhood, and it started right away. And over the years, I became a very hardened individual. Before I started podcasting in my mid-20s, I was a very nasty person. And as I got older, I started maturing and becoming the man that I believe God wanted me to be, and learning that side of me as a child never left. Like you were talking about, it never left me. And so now I have this situation in my life where I have this battle of this hardened Tony that's been around for all these years, this angry, snappy person that was always there as a self-defense mechanism. So because we didn't want to let people get too close to see the soft side of me. So before, if somebody says something to me that hurt my feelings, before I let them see they hurt my feelings, I'm going to bite their head off so they don't think that they hurt my feelings, And so, but as I've gotten older, especially once I had the kids, the emotional side of me really started coming back around, and I don't try fighting it. For instance, I don't know, I'm sure there's some people out there listening right now that can relate. When I became a father, any commercial, TV show that has to do with a father having an emotional, loving moment with their child, I can't help I start crying. And it always starts out like I start having this like weird sound because I'm like trying to hold back tears. I'm just like and Lindsay looks at my wife looks at me and stuff, and I'm like starting to grunt because I'm just like, I'm trying not to cry. But like whenever you see a commercial for the children's hospitals, you see a sick kid and stuff, it destroys me. It kills me because I now know the love of a child and a father that I any parent out there, and there is a listener right now, she knows who she is. She is very close to losing her 7-year-old. And I can't imagine what she's going through right now.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that for her, who she's listening.
It killed me. I posted something on my Instagram, and she commented about how great it is to have children and to love them and love every moment. And then she mentioned about how she has a 7-year-old that's on the verge of passing away. And like that kind of stuff messes me up, man. And that years ago, that it wouldn't have fazed me. And I think it was partly because I've become a father, but also because I've grown up and I've allowed who I am really to be who I am. Now I'm trying to learn how to, because the emotional side of me is there, but also the edgy side of me. So when those two meet, you got an emotional, edgy guy who's very snappy and does it in emotions. And so, it's not the greatest, the combination sometimes. But anyways, listen, this is a paranormal show, and we're just talking about all this crazy stuff. But it's a good conversation, and I think that the subconsciousness of human beings and stuff is so deep. And that's what I was telling you about earlier and stuff. We were talking off air. I don't pretend I have it all figured out. The paranormal, the consciousness, all that stuff. I have my roots, my foundational beliefs that I believe. I'm not going to shy away from conversation with somebody who has different perspectives than me, because I feel very uncomfortable, even though I'm very comfortable in my foundation of spiritual beliefs, right? I also, at the same time, feel very uncomfortable saying, I know everything. You got nothing to offer me in this conversation. You know, that's very, that's a fence I don't like walking. So this is a good conversation I'm having with you, and I'm enjoying the conversation, talking about
Likewise.
It's interesting that this all kind of stemmed, it's just like a rabbit trail conversation we went down here, stemming from this video on TikTok. Now, let me circle back for the people who are pulling their hair out, going bald like me because I'm not staying on topic. Going back to this video, though, the whatever you saw, you said that, you know, for all I know, it could have been somebody just walking back there. I don't know if you believe that. I don't believe that.
They were just like in the bushes, though. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
like, why would they be in the bushes?
They're pervs. I don't know. Like the throat singing turned them on or something. I don't know. Like, it's weird, you know. But to me, with what you said earlier about how, I don't know if you even call it a prayer, but whatever you were doing, that you were asking for certain.
It was like you can call it a prayer. I call it just setting an intention.
Okay, so
but same thing.
So you set that intention, and the visibility of whatever that was is what actually brought the attention to you, right? So, do you think that there were spiritual beings that physically showed themselves on video for you so that you would get that attention you were asking for?
Potentially. You know, what's weird about the video is it glitches right before those things appear. Like literally moments before the video was what's it called? Before they appeared on the video, there you can see this glitch happening. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
But that's what I found strange. The thing is, when in the we're in the third dimension, right? There's like a lot of dimensions out there. In the higher dimensions, like I said, law of attraction dictates the universe. So in the higher dimensions, things are thought responsive. So once you think something, it happens in the higher dimensions. In the third dimension, there's a delay between the thought and the actual materialization of the thing that you're thinking of. Like, you attract money, like you can't just snap your fingers and it pops in your hand. There's this whole delay happens where things in the third dimension have to happen for that to come to you. But in the higher dimensions, once you think it, it's there. So that's why that's why I believe in every being that has ever been thought up. I believe that everything that people think of, characters, Archangel Michael, the Hindu gods, other gods and other entities. If you thought it up and you drew it up and you gave it personality and you put thought into it, the focus and where focus goes, energy flows. So basically we have the capacity to create beings just by thinking of them. So I do believe that every being exists, and and also when you think about something, it happens immediately in the higher dimensions, like I mentioned. So there's no delay. So when I thought about, when I was asking those beings, please help me with this, I truly believe that they were around me and I felt their presence.
So in that moment, it's not hindsight. In that moment, you felt the presence, and then you just happened to get the proof of their presence in video form.
Yeah. So it's really rare for beings in higher dimensions and other dimensional realities where they actually materialize in the physical dimension. So it's a really rare occurrence. It's not like something that happens every day. I know some people who are probably able to summon things into the physical. I don't know those people, but I know that it's possible. It's just a really rare occurrence. Like I believe in aliens, extraterrestrials.
So you believe in the ability to I was writing it down here. You said we can create beings by thinking of them.
Yes, by thinking of them, giving thought to them. And the more people who do that, the more people who give it thought, and the more people who focus on them, they're giving them their energy and therefore creating them as an actual being. Like, for instance, I truly believe that Archangel Michael, though he may have existed in the past, people thinking of him and giving him these personality traits actually created and manifested a being in the higher dimensions that is like him. And same with any other character you can think of.
Okay. So on that note, and you kind of just hit on this a little bit, do you give validity then to the people who are going out and meditating and trying to summon UFOs and this contact with the other dimensions? Have you even? I'm assuming you know about that stuff.
Yes. Honestly, it's a really touchy. I mean, it's like a subject where, okay, so it might make me seem, a lot of people don't even believe in aliens, so it's kind of a hard thing to talk about, to not polarize the crowd.
You're at the right place. I think a lot of the people that listen to this show at least believe that there's something going on. Maybe they don't all agree on what it is, but most people say, yeah, there's definitely something going on.
So honestly, this is a pretty outlandish belief that I have, and other people do have this belief as well, that extraterrestrials, there are some there's two main groups of extraterrestrials that are mostly known. There's the Galactic Federation, which is composed of different alien extraterrestrial races that are actually here to help humanity expand in consciousness. And they've been here, they're in other dimensions. So literally they could be next to you right now. You just don't know because they're in a different dimension. And then there's another group of aliens who actually show their physical vessels, like their ships and stuff, like their ships. They show themselves, and basically it's not it's not a good species of alien if they show their physical vessels. Basically, I'm saying what they're doing is they're sharing their technology with our governments so that we destroy ourselves. They have this reptilians and what's it called? The Greys. They're working together. I don't know if you've ever heard of the reptilians and the Greys, but they're
you really haven't never listened to my show. Of course I have. Absolutely.
Yeah. So those beings, it's not that they're bad or evil. They just perceive humans to be garbage. They're almost like their species functions like a fly, where their role in the universe is to remove garbage, and they perceive us as a garbage species. The other group of aliens, they perceive it, they see the potential in us, and they see themselves in us, and they're for us. You know what I mean? Right now they're in a disagreement where either it's basically dictated on our actions who wins the disagreement. So the reptilians and the Greys, they believe that we're a garbage species, and they're giving our governments these weaponry to enable them to enable us to destroy ourselves. They want us to destroy ourselves. The other group is like, oh yeah, we'll give them that, and if they don't destroy themselves, then we're right. We're right that they are worthy of oneness and love and all this other stuff. So, but the thing is, yeah, we're it's kind of a battle, and it's an ongoing battle where it doesn't look good so far for us.
Yeah, clearly. We're off to a great start in the 2020s, aren't we? I mean, we started 2020, and I said, "All right, guys, this is the Roaring 20s. Let's make it the best ever." This, that, and the other. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah, but if we actually don't destroy ourselves and we prove that we're not garbage, basically those Greys and reptilians will leave us alone. And it is what's it called? Their presence is actually preventing forces that are much worse than them. So, go ahead.
Have you ever had any experiences with these beings? And I ask that because I get a very strong sense your answer is going to be yes.
Yes, they're they're light beings, and you can communicate. Most of their if not all their communication, like the extra. I haven't really communicated with the Greys and reptilians. I don't want to.
Why?
But I'm not really interested. I feel a heaviness to their energy. I guess don't. Anyways, so the higher beings, you know what I mean? They are constantly helping us with things that we're not even aware of. But you see, when we talk about this stuff, a lot of people will think we're nut jobs or something like that. And I guess,
brother, I'm used to it. Okay, like honestly, I mean, you're not saying anything right now that hasn't been talked about before on the show. We'll talk about anything, and I'll talk about anything. What I am quite offended by is that you are quite racist towards the reptilians and the Greys. I cannot believe, you not want to even talk to them. My goodness, you're such an awful human being.
Honestly, I don't want to invite any possibility of getting abducted by them or anything like that.
I understand. I just released an episode. What's today? Tuesday?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I just released an episode today with a lady named Missy, and I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to call the episode, and so I'm blanking now as to what I called the episode. But she had these dreams, and her mom had these dreams that made me feel like they may not be these dreams as much as suppressed memories that are coming through dreams, and abduction and things like that. And I think recently, just last month, I had for a member show, Mystery Kink podcast guys, they were on, and Chris was telling about how he felt like it was a dream. No, let me put it this way. He wanted to tell people it was a dream, but the more details that came out, it didn't seem like a dream, man. And whatever he was dealing with, they were sampling things from his testicles, and it wasn't fun. Like some people talk about partying with aliens and they get to have sex with aliens and they have hybrid babies. Not the case for him. He missed out on the whole sex thing. So
So have you ever heard of astral projection?
Of course.
Or
Yeah.
astral travel?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually something that anyone can do. Anyone can learn to do that. You see, there's this guy on YouTube and this other spiritual teacher. So Ryan Cropper and Teal Swan, they talk about out of body travel. And they give tutorials on how to do it, on how to astral travel, and anyone can do it. I've done it a few times, and like I said, in the higher dimensions, when you leave the body, you're actually in the fourth dimension, which is the realm of where entities are. You know what I mean? Where most people, entities that were created by man are, like the ascended masters, and you can even communicate with angels. You can even go to higher dimensions in the going out of body. and it's thought responsive. So anything you think of happens instantly. So if you say, I want to go to this place, you can go there. And the cool thing about astral travel is that you have this silver cord attached to you, to your third eye. So it's impossible to, like, a lot of people fear that they'll get stuck and able to come back in their body. But since it's thought responsive, it's actually harder to stay out of your body, because once you think your body, you actually snap back into it immediately. So it's actually harder to stay out of it. You have to not think about the physical life at all. You're not supposed to think about your body in any shape, way, or form. Otherwise, you'll snap back into it. So, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't want to interrupt you here, but how do you? So, what do you think about then? To where are you going then? That doesn't remind you of the physical realm.
Just focus on it takes a lot of practice. The first few times, you'll probably be out of body like a few seconds or a few minutes. The thing is, the time is warped in the astral realm. So say like if you feel like you spent 3 hours in astral, it's probably going to be like a few minutes in the physical.
Oh man, you're hitting on some things that are getting my gears turning. You're in Canada. Shoot, man, I can't bring you down to the studio. We'll talk later, but go ahead, continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you actually astral travel, learn how to astral, you can tell between astral traveling and dreaming pretty clearly, because dreaming, everything is warped, right? Everything is warped and, abstract looking kind of like, but in astral plane, it's actually the same as the physical. And sometimes when you get to the higher dimensions, you actually more detail, like say the physical dimensions 1080p and the higher realms are like 20K or 40K. I don't even know, 4K. I don't even know the right terminology for that, but higher definition, more colors, more detail. So that's how you can tell between dreams and astral travel. Absolutely anyone can astral travel. It just depends on the person. Like some people will take longer to get out of their body. But once you get well versed, you will actually be able to leave your body within like 5 minutes after you've been experienced. But in the astral plane, you can literally experience anything. Like you could see, how did the world form? I would like to experience that. And then you can actually go into this scenario. Like you'll actually see the image of how everything was created and all these other things. And like, yeah, it's like an information hub. You can look up, how about this? I would like to communicate and be in the presence of Bigfoot. You instantly go there once you're experienced enough. At first, it'll be harder to control. Like a lot of people like to use lucid dreaming to practice first. Like they'll start lucid dreaming, like where lucid dreaming is basically when you're dreaming and you're aware of the dream and you can control things in the dream. People use that as practice before they get into astral planes. And a lot of people, they actually, like, there's videos out there that warn you not to astral travel because, I don't know, like a demon could follow you or something like that, or like you can get possessed. But honestly, that's only if you let the fear take over. There's going to be some fear. And, when you're in a frequency of fear, you're going to be on the same vibration as things that cause fear. So you got to be very emotionally attuned to yourself, and maybe get rid of any low vibration things out of, what you're consuming. Like, for instance, a lot of people like to watch scary movies, right? That's actually one of the reasons people have bad experiences in astral, because they just refer to the scary movies they've watched and then they actually see those things.
Hey man, listen, I might have to take that part out because people are going to listen to the show. They're like, well, I'm not going to listen to the confessionals anymore because I'm not trying to see stuff. So I'm kidding.
It's okay. But, so yeah, astral travel is a big way, a really major way to even gain self-awareness. Like you'll be able to see why I'm a certain way, like, you know what I mean? Like you'll be able to go back to your traumas and experience, these things that happened. So yeah, people can just go to the astrals and communicate with aliens whenever they want. You can literally just astral travel and say, I would like the presence of extraterrestrials. You can name a specific race. There's Arcturians, there's Pleiadians, there's Lyrians, there's a whole bunch of different extraterrestrial races. And they all have a lot of wisdom and loving things to share. The thing is, we all have spirit guides. I don't know if you've ever heard of spirit guides.
Yeah.
But they're basically these entities here who are here to guide us through our lives. And the thing about them is, a lot of the time some people never get to talk to their spirit guide. Perfectly okay. A lot of people hear about this, interdimensional stuff, and they're like, now I can talk to angels and all these aliens. I want to ask them for advice on what to do and stuff. The thing is, that's not their role. Once they influence your, by giving you too much information, they're kind of influencing your free will, which is very important. This life as we are. So a lot of the time, the guidance and the messages you get from them are very vague. And you can tell between a higher dimensional being and a lower dimensional being by the messages they give. So for instance, the higher dimensional beings, they are not able to give anything that is of low vibration. So they can't give you anything fear-based. They can't threaten you with anything. Like, if you do this, this is going to happen to you. That's not a higher being telling you to do that. That's a fear-based frequency that they're operating from. So that means they're a lower entity disguised as a higher frequency being. So the higher dimensional beings, the ones that vibrate at a high frequency, they're either going to be neutral with their messages when you communicate with them, or they're going to be very high and loving. If it's anything below that, like if they're saying you should do this or you happen, or because I commanded, that's actually not in the name of free will and the opposite of what a higher being would tell you to do. So that's how you can tell. Some people are tricked and they think that a higher dimensional being or like an angel is talking to them, but they're receiving is all these fear-based, messages and promptings. And that's how you know it's definitely not a higher dimensional being or a being of good or an angel or whatever you believe in.
That's interesting. Where did you learn all this stuff? Is this something that you were taught by your parents, or you picked it up reading a book you found on the street? Or
I picked it up from all different types of sources, honestly.
Okay. It's interesting. And, I've heard people talk about this stuff before. The way you talk about it, I tend to understand it more. In the past, I've had people talk to me, whether it's on the show or off the show, about this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, I think for the first time, and I'm not saying I understand it, but I think for the first time, you're somebody who's talking to me about higher frequencies and lower frequencies. And I'm not just like, bro, what the freak are you talking about? I guess the way you described it, the way you broke it down and stuff, I can kind of feel it and picture it more. Don't worry, everybody. It doesn't mean I'm turning new age. I'm not turning new age or anything like that. I'm just, I'm saying I understand where he's coming from in his thought process.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. So another thing I forgot to mention, like I said, the things you consume actually dictate your frequency as well. So this is where I'm gonna lose a lot of people, if I've already lost a lot of people. But basically, the best way to experience interdimensional things like astral travel and channeling and all these things is to be on a high frequency, right? So that you're matched to other high frequency things. But that also means you need to look at the lower frequency things you're consuming. Like, for instance, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but meat and animal products, their frequency is on the frequency of suffering and death and separation from the mother and the child, the cows, all that process, everything that they've experienced, they're on that frequency. When you consume it, you match that frequency. You begin to take in that frequency and consume it. Then you begin to vibrate at that frequency, that same frequency. Same with sugar. Sugar is a very low frequency thing. People who eat a lot of sugar, they're going to be on a lower frequency. What's it called? Artificial sweeteners, alcohol. I know that's going to be a big one for a lot of people. Those are also on lower frequencies. That's what makes people a match to lower frequency entities. Like, a lot of people who drink alcohol will actually black out, right? And then they act out in ways that they wouldn't naturally act out when they're sober. That's because they've allowed these lower frequencies to take over. And sometimes they even get possessed by these lower entities once they're in that place, once they're drunk enough.
Yeah.
They act out. Yeah. I don't know have you ever witnessed someone black out and be completely different and like become violent or become like a completely different person where they're just.
Absolutely. Like they're possessed. Yeah. Yeah.
It does. It's a really low frequency thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so basically what you're saying is veganism is New Ageism.
Well, honestly, not all New Age people are vegan, because a lot of them still have, like meat tastes amazing, right?
I love meat.
Yeah, so that stuff is.
Let me just back up for a second, okay? Because people might be lost there. Recently, I was on somebody else's show, a very large show, Tinfoil Hat Podcast, and I told them that I lost my taste for meat from COVID. COVID literally turned me vegetarian for quite a while. Well, it was funny because right after I said that on the recording, like a couple days after, I started getting my taste for meat back, just in time to move to Tennessee where the barbecue's great and everything like that. So that's why I said I love meat, because I got my taste back for meat. So go ahead and carry on, my friend.
Yeah. So, yeah, those things, it's hard for people to let go of, you know what I mean? And a lot of people believe, I said law of attraction, what you, thoughts shape reality, right? Or like what you believe is, you know what I mean? Like, so for instance, your beliefs shape what reality you experience. And a lot of people believe that you need meat to stay healthy. They begin to manifest these illnesses because they have this deep belief that you need meat to survive. So that actually manifests as something that happens, where a lot of people can't survive without meat because they believe it, that they need it.
That's interesting. I never really, I don't know. I just never really I give thought to what I consume. I mean, like I don't take in a ton of sugar. I don't really consume, I just don't really think a whole lot about what I'm consuming in the sense. So I don't know. I just never really thought about it that way. I just, I eat what I like. And I know for me, I don't feel good when I eat too much sugar. I don't drink soda because I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah, you can actually assess low frequencies by how you feel, after you consume them. If you actually try eating, say, a diet with a lot of alive foods, so like living enzymes and living, like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that are, the rawest form probably, possibly. When you actually eat a raw diet, you begin to raise frequency because your cells are being replaced by living organisms and living enzymes rather than the decaying dead flesh. So what I believe is that people who eat meat, they're consuming something of a lower density, so like lower frequency, like I mentioned earlier. And when you eat things that are alive and, vegetables and fruits, though they have a consciousness, they don't experience pain to the degree of a meat eating, like a meat. You know what I mean? Like an animal with a central nervous system.
Right.
So those things are a much higher frequency than them. And you can actually tell by how accurate, like say, do you believe in psychics at all?
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely 100%. I don't think that all people who claim they're psychic are actually psychic, but I definitely think there are people who are psychics.
Yeah. So when someone is psychic, they're receiving information from the higher dimensions, right? They're becoming like a bridge or a channel to the higher dimensions, and they're receiving information from them. When you're eating meat, it distorts the signal because it's in a lower frequency. It's not a match to the high frequencies of, what the information they're receiving. So you can actually, like, usually when I go to a psychic or if I meet someone who claims to have abilities and receive information from higher dimensions, I ask them, what's your diet like? Like, even though they could potentially receive information from higher dimensions, a lot of it will be distorted by their own perspective and their own, beliefs and their own ego. It's not going to be a pure channel. A pure channel is someone who does not consume any lower frequency things.
Wow. So like your litmus test is like, they're like, hey, I'm psychic. You're like, okay, let's go to Texas Roadhouse. What do you feel about that? If they're like, oh no, I don't eat meat, we're like, okay, then let's talk. If they're like, oh yeah, I was just there last night, I could do it again. You're like, nah, bro, you ain't psychic.
I mean, they could potentially be. There are psychics out there that are gifted enough that they can still receive information, but it's not going to be pure. Like it's definitely going to just take everything they say with a grain of salt. It's not going to be 100% accurate compared to someone who doesn't.
I and that's kind of how I am with. I mean, I don't go to psychics, but I mean, anything. I mean, even in my realm, so in the Christian faith realm, right? So I was raised Pentecostal, and I don't think I'm Pentecostal. I'm like a hybrid theologically. So, but coming from the Pentecostal and stuff, it's real big, like prophecy and, somebody prophesying over your life. God told me that you will blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, yo, if God ain't telling me, I ain't letting Joe Schmo from down the road come and tell me. Like, I'm sorry, Joey. Like, go take a hike and tell somebody else what God's telling you. I ain't listening. So like, I just don't put a lot of faith in people to tell me things. So like, even if it was a psychic, obviously I would be like very hesitant. But you're giving me some tools in my belt. If somebody comes to me and says they're a psychic, I'm like, what's your diet like? They'll be like, why do you ask? I'm like, just tell me what your diet's like.
Yeah. But yeah, like for me though, I understand that perspective because I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
And I was an extremely devout Catholic actually growing up in my teens. Like I was going to, Youth for Christ camps, singing church songs for like 10 to 16 hours or something like that. And I was in the choir. So I was extremely religious. So it's kind of hard that, especially from my family and other people to accept that I'm no longer part of that. But I still, it's not like I invalidate your beliefs. I'm just saying that I'm, I'm
better. You're better.
Not.
No, I know what you're saying, man. Listen, before we wrap this up, though, I do want to, and I threw this out to you before we started recording, and if you don't want to do it, it's fine. But you just mentioned about singing in church. Can you give me some throat singing and stuff, just so that people can understand that this is actually the guy from the video that they're hearing and stuff? I mean, I know you said you hadn't warmed your voice up yet, but can you do anything without warming your voice up?
All right. So, do you want me to start low or high? Because there's 3 different frequencies I do, and a few different ones. But basically, all right. I'll just start off with the low one.
Okay.
Pargara, which most people have heard. So that one's the lower frequencies, and you could, if it was more warmed up, it would be cleaner, where there's less of a staticky sound to it. I don't know if you heard that. It's like raspy. But and then the next one is called Chillindic. It sounds funny, but yeah, it's called Chillindic. And that one you can hear the overtone a lot more. There's 2. You can hear the pronounced notes. You know what I mean? There's one lower note, and then there's a higher note above it. So there's that. That's mostly used to get into trances. When you get into trances, you're more connected to higher dimensions, and you can experience things through that. And then there's the mid ones. This one takes a lot to warm up, so it might not come out very good. We'll try. There are multiple notes in that. Wow. I don't know if you heard it. That's called hume, and that's the mid frequencies. And then after that, it comes with Sigit, which is the high frequencies. This one has two notes at once that are very noticeable. And it's not just, two notes. It's actually multiple notes. It just sounds like two notes because that's what you can mostly hear.
That's unbelievable. That's what you did in the video that attracted the Bigfoot or whatever it was. And holy.
And then the highest frequency that I can do is going to be, it's Western overtone singing. It's not, it doesn't have a weird name like the other ones. All right. So the problem with this one, though, is a lot of the mics and even speakers and headphones, they can't capture the high frequencies to its full extent for some reason. I need to find a way around that. But yeah.
Well, I got good microphones. If you want to come visit me, we can hang out and do some recording, So shoot, dude. All right. So, when I told my wife that you and I were scheduled to talk, and I was like, you remember that guy that, did the throat singing video? And she's like, yeah. I was like, I'm talking. I'm going to have him on the show. And I'm in the kitchen. I'm like trying to do your throat singing. And she's like, don't do that. You're just going to offend him. It's incredible. Like, I can't even comprehend how you can do that. Like, it's absolutely amazing. How long did it take you to do that? Like, learn how to do that stuff?
I started in June 2018.
Shut up. Really?
June 2018 is when I started. And before that, it was kind of funny because I discovered throat singing in 2016. But then I read an article that said only like Mongolians and whoever else who does it culturally can do it because they have this extra thing in their throat or something like that. Their throats are shaped different. And I thought it was impossible for normal people to learn. But then I saw like a guy who was not Mongolian. Clearly, he was white. And he was able to throat sing very well. And I'm like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. Let's do it. And I guess like 2018, I started learning. I was literally working in a factory at the time. And, I was like this box maker. I'd fold boxes in the back and push it through this curtain. And then all the people on the line would fill this the boxes with, the product. And while I'm there working 8 hours, just folding these giant boxes, I would be throat singing in the back, like making random sounds. Obviously, it didn't sound good at first. It sounded like I was making weird humming noises. And I didn't care how many people laughed at me or like thought it was weird. I just kept going. I'm like, I want to learn this enough to, I don't care what you think.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine what some of the people were like, what is wrong with this guy? It's like the guy who's always talking to himself, It's like, but that's crazy cool, man.
Yeah, like 5 years ago, if you told me I would have a TikTok with 53,000 followers because of my throat singing, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
And that's the way I feel about podcasting. I mean, I started the show in 2017 and here I have this show. I produce other people's shows. I'm starting to do documentaries and we're doing a bunch of stuff with Merkle Media that has nothing to do with paranormal. It's just like this whole thing is just taking a life of its own. And if you told me back in 2016 that, hey, in 2017 you're going to start something that in 5 years is going to turn into this, I'm like, you're crazy. I'm Tony the truck driver. Okay, that's all I'm ever going to be. So it's amazing what life does and what you can do with life when you try. You take a passion, a desire, a dream, and you go against the grain. And what is going against the grain? Typically, going against the grain is going against everybody out in the world is saying that you can't do it. This world's filled with people who say that it's impossible, you shouldn't, that's stupid, and people listen to those people. We were talking about that earlier and stuff about the subconscious and developing how you develop as a human being. But that happens even as an adult. And so you go through life and you have people saying these things to you, and so many people don't even try what they have a desire for out of fear of rejection of other people. And those who do try have a substantial chance to succeed because the field of competition is so slim at that level because you're actually trying. Like most people don't even try. And so I think it's really cool that you did that and that you were willing to do that. I listen, I took the bullets too. I mean, I went into work one day and told truck drivers, guys who've been driving for 20, 30 years, I told them that I'm starting a paranormal podcast. What are you going to talk about? Ghosts and Bigfoot. And they're like, what? They make fun of me. And it's just like, you bite the bullet and you have a direction and a knowledge and understanding of where you want to go with your life. And you know that they aren't they're not going to get you where you want to go. And they're doing their thing. So why would you ever let somebody who has no sway in your life have sway in your life? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to live your life for you, but you're going to let them dictate how you live your life. It's silly. So anyways, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you chatting with me. Before we get out of here, tell people about your TikTok, your IG, where can they find you and stuff, and hear your throat singing and check out the video.
All right. So I got a TikTok and it's Throat Sing King. So just type out throat singing and add a K after the G of singing. So it's Throat Sing King. That's basically how I came up with it. Just added a K. And then Terran Sendence. That's my art account and my main account. Basically, I'm mostly actually just an artist, like an oil painter. Throat singing is a secondary thing, but it's becoming the prominent thing, I guess, now.
Yeah.
So there's oil painting, and also just a shout out to the people I've learned from. Because I did quote a lot of people when I was talking to you. So Teal Swan, Ryan Cropper, maybe Koi Fresco. Anyways, just a shout out to all the people I've been learning from.
Awesome, man. Yeah, listen, man, I appreciate you being on the show. And I think it was just a fun, engaging conversation. And I didn't know where we were going to go outside of the video. And it took a life of its own. And I'm happy with it, man. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for hosting and inviting me on this. This is a great opportunity. And it was awesome connecting with you.
Well, that's the show, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please share the show with your friends. I don't care where or how you share the show. Just share the show if you enjoyed it, because that's the best thing you can do to help the show grow. And before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out. I don't even know who this dude's name is, but the contractor for my house came by today to talk with me, and he told me that the guy who delivered the stone for my house asked about me. He said, did by chance the guy that bought that house have a podcast? And he said, yes, he did. And he said, I listened to his show. And so I think it's just funny. The guy who actually delivered the stone to my house listens to the show. So dude, if you're listening right now, shout out to you. The stone looks beautiful. Thank you very much. And shout out to everybody who listens in Tennessee, East Tennessee specifically. I love yous. I'm loving the area. Let's go. Oh yeah, and until next week, stay safe, take care, and remember, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. Bye.
go higher. Push me down and I'll go higher. Push me down and I'll go higher.